necessary.
I'm here representing the Canadian Network for Innovation in Education. We are a bilingual pan-Canadian organization, approximately 500 members. We are teachers, instructors in K-12, post-secondary, in the professional development area, and continuing education. And copyright touches every single one of my members every day in everything they do. We teach, we create materials, we disseminate materials, and we do that in what is often called on-site locations as well as off-site. And it is one of the key things for copyright for us that the distinction between on-site and off-site not be made. Today, because of the internet, because of technologies, learning environments are not in the closed classroom of four walls, a ceiling, and a door, and a floor. Okay? Right now, we have what we call personal learning environments and virtual learning environments. So as a student, I can access my course and a discussion in my course at lunch hour from my office, at midnight from my home, anywhere I happen to be that my BlackBerry connects to. And so my learning classroom is now a global learning classroom. Copyright impacts on what my teachers and what I as a teacher can put forward as a learning resource and a teaching resource to my students in those two different environments. And they should not be considered two different environments. They should be considered one. It is a learning environment. The other aspect to that is for those students who are distance education students, what are often called blended or extended or distributed education students, we should have access to the same legal and affordable learning resources that the students have when they are sitting in the classroom at the university or in an elementary or high school. We now have homeschooled students. My particular school board, the English Montreal School Board, we are in charge of classrooms in prisons, in hospitals, in closed wards, students who are recovering from long-term illnesses at home. As an elementary school teacher, I need the right, the legal right, to give those students the same resources that their counterparts have in the elementary school classroom down the block from their home. The other aspect to this in terms of fair dealing is the education sector does not have the same resources as the profit sector. Education and library resources are necessary for us. We cannot afford horrendous long-term costs. And as a final point as an instructor, the element of the 30-day time limit for maintaining of electronic records, if I'm teaching the same course 3 times a year, sorry, I cannot recreate those things 3 times a year. It is onerous. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, bon, on va suivre l'ordre du micro.
So we'll continue. We'll go from microphone 2 to 3. Hello, my name is André Dumont. I'm a member of the Executive Board of Independent Journalists, the Association du Québec. We represent approximately 125 members and other journalists who are not members who ask for our advice. Independent journalism, what's happening right now is that editors are asking us to renounce all our rights on our work. I'll give you an example. At Publication, which belongs to Quebec Or, we are asked, or we're in fact forced, if we want to collaborate with them, to give up our rights concerning on work we've given in the past, in the present and the future, on all supports, media, territories. It could be the galaxy, the planet. And there's abuse because as independent journalists, we have a precarious living. We don't have any power compared to media corporations like Québécois or others. It's quite generalized. So we think that the Act should be reinforced to give us the tools to negotiate. For instance, the Act could keep publishers to keep us from giving up our retroactive rights without any form of compensation. Another abusive thing is that by giving up all our rights, as a journalist, if I write a column and then want to write a book, in my contract it's written that all forms of support or media, I can't publish a book because they mention all possible elements. In an Act, for instance, they could say that a publisher can't ask you to give up a right without having reasonably the intention of using that work. That would give the journalists a little more power. other authors as well, other creators who might not be able to make a film, for instance, because they signed an agreement. Another thing that could be changed, we could perhaps do like in France, where the moral right is not renounceable. That's what associates my name to a work. Québécois and others ask us to renounce our moral rights, which is to say, to take off my name, and they can use their text for another use, let's say an advertisement, product evaluation, and we've seen this in the past. And I think that if we want to encourage innovation, we have to allow authors to get additional revenue when their work is used more often, and for the quality of information as well. It has to be credible. That journalistic work not be used for advertisement and for other ends. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think Nicole has some online comments. Yes, I have 2 comments. I'd also ask online participants to submit their comments.
Victoria from Toronto. I work for the music industry. I am also a user of intellectual property content. I hope the consultations will result in a bill that will ensure that rights holders are guaranteed the right to monetize their content if they so choose. You will hear from many members of the public who believe it is their right to access content without paying for it. Doing so without permission from the owner is theft, pure and simple. Please foster creativity and the significant contribution it makes to the GDP and to the livelihoods of Canadians. Without adequate copyright protection, we will lose investment in Canadian intellectual property. Now, our second comment is about graduate students. Graduate students in Canada occupy a unique position in the debate on copyright modernization. We are creators, users, and owners of copyright. One element of particular relevance to the graduate student community concerns the legislative definition of fair dealing.
Thank you. So we'll go to mic number 4 now.